and welcome to Bison Overtime. I'm Alex Dusky.
I'm Malik Mitchell.
We have a lot of Bison sports to cover for you guys today. Starting off with the football team in the FCS playoffs. They won in their first round against Eastern Washington 42-20. At half, we were only up by one. It was 21-20. But then we shut them out in the second half with the final score, like I said, 42-20. What were you seeing from the defense?
From the defense, on the defensive side, it was raining sacks. Eli and Will Monstort, they're twins, and they both had one sack. That's a fun fact, by the way. Logan McCormick and Tony Pierce also had one sack. Jackson Hankey, which is also leads in tackles. He's the guy that will get the last tackle, and he had a total of 8 tackles. Cole Wininski. He's new on the list. We haven't seen much of him.
We saw some new names this week.
Right. He had a total of 9 tackles. I think he's a freshman linebacker, by the way. So I guess they put him in a mix. Why late in the season? I don't know. But
the thing about these freshmen, Coach Entz earlier in the week, he was asked, because, talking about Cam, which we'll talk about later in the show, he's like, yeah, the depth is freshmen right now. That's where we're playing them because that's the strength of the team. And so I think that's really important to know that, they realize that they're talented, so they're giving that extra time because sometimes coaches won't play them for fear of not having experience rather than starting them now, like what Coach is seeing. So the defense had 65 total tackles, 9 tackles for loss for a total of 48 yards, and 5 sacks for a total of 43 yards. So that's almost a whole football field based on just tackles and sacks of yards lost.
Yep, and last week Coach N said the main thing was missed tackles was the biggest problem. So the defense really stepped up.
Against SDSU.
Yep, against SDSU, and the defense really stepped it up. And on the offensive side, Cam Miller doing his thing again, had 6 completions at 11 attempts, 50 yards. Not much as much as passing yards.
Right, but he did run in for 2 touchdowns.
He had 2. He also had 2 passing touchdowns, and he rushed for 30 yards for a rushing touchdown, 2 of them. Christian Watson had 2 receptions for 28 yards, not really much of a passing game.
I think definitely the strength was the run game, which is what we've been saying the whole year. In total, we had 57 attempts for 422 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those key players, freshman Dominic Ganella, we talked about him, week 3 or 4 maybe. He had a great game, 20 carries, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then redshirt freshman Jalen Bussey was back. Now, 2 weeks ago, didn't Matt N say that we weren't going to see him again? So do you think that was a lie to try and, spook out the competition, or do you think they just really didn't know?
I mean, it could be a mixture of both because you said he was warming up in one of the games that he didn't play
against SCSU.
Right, and he didn't end up playing. But it's also a good strategy to not put that out there and use him as a secret weapon because he definitely did ball out.
And you've said all season, how why isn't the coach talking about injuries? That's probably why.
Yeah. Because
he was great. He had 13 carries, 143 yards. And then some other players, Hunter Lukey, he had 46 yards and 1 touchdown. Like you said, Cam Miller ran 1 and 2. The offense only punted once on the first possession of the game. How impressive was that? Really
impressive. You can tell, and I think the ground game, was probably the best we've seen all year. I think that was the best, do you think, that was the best run game we had out of all the games? Because it's multiple backs that had over 100 yards.
Right.
I don't think we've ever seen that.
And Dominic's a freshman, Cam's a freshman, Jalen's a redshirt freshman. I think Hunter Lukey's a junior, I think
he's a junior.
But then Kobe Johnson, who is still injured, he's a freshman.
Sophomore.
So we have so much strength in our underclassmen on the run game. Do you have any last-minute points about that game? Just an impressive win for the Bison?
Yeah, I would just say, last week we were uncertain about the run game, and now it's popping. So hopefully they do that next year. Now Jalen Bussey's back in the mix.
All right, so this Sunday, so in 2 days, they will travel down to Huntsville, Texas to take on the Sam Houston State Bearcats.
In Texas.
Yes.
Where it's hot. And I've heard that the coach is trying to keep them hydrated because they're going to be outside
he was talking
in the heat.
About that earlier.
Got to keep them hydrated.
Coach Entz was also saying how the Bearcats, with a K, Bearcats with a K, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
They are the #1 defense in the country right now, specifically against the running game. What issues do you think that's going to present?
Okay. I think we can go toe-to-toe because we have good running backs. Dominic Ganella, Jalen Bussey. We have good backs. So we shouldn't be worried about it because we're just as good. But this is a passing game.
The strength of our offensive line? Because that's
Our offensive
important.
line is solid.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. We're known for quarterbacks and our offensive line is always solid. I'm just worried about the passing game. We can put up so many numbers.
Passing. We barely had, 50 passing yards this last game, and we still won.
Exactly. But just imagine if we do pass. We'll put up so
many more yards.
More yards, more numbers. I just want the passing game. I like passing. I love passing. And the fact that they have Crystal Watson, a great receiver, and they don't use him.
He had a couple receptions in the UND game?
Yeah.
And
just a couple.
But I will say, I talked about this last week, in the SDSU game, he had several drop passes. So, as you played wide receiver in high school, is that the fault of the receiver or the quarterback?
If you drop it, if it touches both your hands, it's your fault.
Okay.
But also, when you don't throw it to him as much as, right? He's getting rusty.
And, they don't have that connection that, maybe Trey Lance had.
He's getting rusty. You're not throwing as much. So you expect him to catch,
right.
You got to keep using him to keep him in the funk and not get rusty.
Before we dive more into the Sam Houston State game, what happened with Zeb? He didn't get injured. The last game he played, he didn't do terrible.
He had 3 stabs.
And no one's seen him since.
Hey, man, I told you. You guys, you always say I'm hard on Zeb. I told you that was going to happen. There's only so many chances that guy will have. And Cam Miller looks like he's not letting up.
He had a clean game. He had no interceptions, no fumbles, and he didn't get sacked, which, that's offensive line's thing. But
Yep. But also, that's what Zeb does. He gets sacks. He throws interceptions. And he doesn't run.
So, he's a grad transfer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's technically eligible for another year because of COVID. Do you think he
transfer?
will stay? Do you think he'll transfer? Do you think he'll go to the draft? Or do you think he's like, I'm done?
The draft is no. But but I think if I was him, I would leave. Think about it. Next year, Cam.
Leave and go to another school or just be done?
Leave and go to another school. Think about it. Cam. Then you got Quincy still.
Right,
don't forget about him. Yes, I know he's.
But do you think Zeb would stay to be a mentor to Quincy? Because, we kind of said how they had that
friends
chemistry before.
Yeah. I mean, he could, but if he's worried about league dreams, I will go to a different school and figure out how to get to the league.
Do you think Zeb Nolan is really aiming for the draft?
I think everybody that plays football is aiming for the draft. But
speaking of the draft,
are you asking, is he good enough to go to the draft?
Right.
My opinion, no. He has a lot of grow, I don't know if it's just he can't stand up to the pressure or he's just not used to collegiate. Because did we say he didn't play a lot at Iowa?
Iowa State, because of Brock Purdy, an excellent quarterback.
Right, so that's probably why he doesn't have as much experience.
True.
So maybe that's necessarily him doesn't have time to grow. So I'm not gonna say he's bad. Because what if, puts the work in and next year, new man, new coach. Right.
We're not saying that Entz is a bad coach by any means, but maybe, just not clicking.
Exactly.
So this weekend, this will be NDSU's 11th consecutive NCAA quarterfinal appearance. We are 7-2, while the Bearcats are 7-0. Game time's 2 p.m. The winner will play either UND or JMU. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. So NDSU is 5-1 against Sam Houston State in 4 straight wins, all playoffs. The only loss to Sam Houston was when we were on the road. The rest of those games have all been home. And we lost in 2009.
And we're on the road going
this time.
Well, okay, I'm uncertain about this game because I know nothing about Sam Houston, just like Eastern Washington. But what I've learned that Eastern Washington and Sam Houston on the other side are not really that good. So, when you said, they scored the last team, Eastern Washington.
Right, 63, I think.
Right. So, I think it's because they lack of skill on that side.
And that's what's hard, kind of like what we've been talking about with baseball and softball when we're playing these non-conference games. It's just something that you and I aren't that familiar with. But it is important to note that Sam Houston is the number 2 seed in the nation right now, behind SDSU.
Yeah, and the last time we played them was in 2017 season, and we won 55-13.
Right.
So we don't really know how it's going to play out. Plus, we're in a different circumstance. We've been playing in a dome. I think we played outside once or twice.
I think
against
so,
Southern Illinois where we lost. So, and then we're experiencing heat now. I don't know how they're going to. We don't get heat out here.
Right, but their second home is Frisco, Texas, where they always play in the championship. So this is nothing new.
I don't know how it'll go. How do you think it's going to play out?
I think it's going to be close. I think I said that last week, but I'm more confident. I think it'll be 28-17 NDSU.
I said 28-14.
Okay, so pretty close.
Like always, I think we're going to win.
Right.
Like always. You always think, last game, I was scared, but this game.
We got our confidence back. All right. Across the FCS, last week winners, SDSU beat Holy Cross 31-3. SDSU's versus Southern Illinois, who we lost to. That's the prime time game this Saturday at 8 o'clock. UND beat Missouri State 44-10. Like I said, UND plays JMU, and if we win, we'll play that winner. Who do you think, just quick, who do you think is going to win that UND game?
JMU.
Think so?
Yep.
Me too. JMU beat their opponent VMI 31-24, and Sam Houston beat Monmouth 21-15 last week. We can't be an NDSU sports show without talking about Trey Lance in the draft last night. He was 3rd overall to the 49ers, beat out Mac Jones.
Justin Fields.
Right? So he was the 3rd quarterback behind Trevor Lawrence was 1st, and then Zach Wilson out of BYU 2nd. What do you think that means for NDSU to see, like, hey, our guy is 3rd overall going to the 49ers. This is the highest draft pick since Carson Wentz was going number 2 5 years ago.
And then before I hear some announcer talking about, we don't know if he's going to fold in the NFL because our league is not really D1 and it's not really good competition and stuff like that. But Carson Wentz.
Right.
He was good.
Did well.
Exactly.
He still is. I'm giving him another season to redeem
another
himself. But
another
that's
season?
a time for another
right.
show.
That's another show. But, yeah, Trey Lance, I think, is going to do fine. And it's putting, to answer your question, NDSU on the map of QBU. And, you know, he had the shirt on and everything.
Right,
right? Yes, it's QBU. We're now QBU. That's what I think.
How do you think he's going to do with the 49ers? Going out to San Francisco, completely different climate, completely different, fan base, leaving Bison Nation, going out there.
I think he's going to do well. It's Trey Lance. And then the sky's the limit for him. Like, he's young and he has all that talent. I just don't want him to get the hype in his head. I just want him to keep grinding, keep focusing, just forget about all that.
He was so happy last night.
He really was.
We were talking earlier. He was like one of the best dressed. He was so excited. Before we head to commercial, what else did you think about the draft? Trey Lance going over quarterbacks like Nick Saban's Mac Jones and Ohio State's Justin Fields.
And you can just see, like, Justin Fields being upset. Like, he was trying to hold his composure, but he was really upset.
And Mac Jones was practically running to get his hat when his name got called to go to the Patriots.
Hey, they always say the picks mean nothing because after that, now you're in the NFL now. When the smoke clears, you're going to see who's standing.
Right, yeah.
So, but hopefully our guy's still standing.
Of course. All right, when we come back, we'll have a recap of golf's last weekend and NDSU softball as well. Stay with us.
Founded in 1985, the Missouri Valley Football Conference has established a tradition of FCS football excellence. Competing at the highest level of NCAA Division I, student athletes at its 10 institutions demonstrate character, passion, and integrity as they grow as a student, an athlete, and a citizen. The Missouri Valley Football Conference, where leaders are shaped and champions are forged.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
Welcome back. Now we're going to dive into softball and golf. They played 3 out of the 4 games against Omaha.
Softball did.
Softball, yeah, softball, yeah. Wait, what did I say?
You just said softball and golf. You didn't
Oh, I'm
specify.
sorry. Yeah, softball. They only won one game out of the 3 games that were played. On Saturday, they won 3-1. Avery Watsong and Skylar Paget had 1 hit and 1 run. The second game on Saturday, we lost 5-3. Sam Keene and Emily Berenga had 2 hits and 1 run.
Some new names.
Yeah, some new names. And Cara Betty had 1 hit and 1 run. On Sunday, we sadly lost 8 to nothing. 8 to nothing.
What happened? Not only with this week. Okay, start off with what happened this weekend. What do you think? Winning the first one and then second one, okay, 5-3, that's acceptable. But then 8 to nothing, that means our defense wasn't stopping, catching, throwing, getting outs. Offense wasn't getting home. What do you think happened?
It just looks like they didn't shake back from the loss before that game. I don't know if they lost confidence. I don't know. This is your softball team.
Well,
what
hold
do you
on,
think?
but also we started out so strong in conference play. Remember against USD and then Iowa State, we had a pretty okay round against them, an out-of-conference team. So do you think they're just – because these games were at home, right? So it's not that they're, on the road again. They have Bison Nation behind them.
Yep. Well, just because Omaha is in our conference, I mean, we should be toe-to-toe, but they still can be hard, and I don't know what Omaha's ranked, do you? I don't know
I think they're above us.
Exactly. So we
were playing up.
Right. So we knew we were coming into a tough game. So that's what showed.
But something that, across all sports, when you're playing a team that's harder than you, you can either rise to the occasion or you can crumble. And I feel like with the softball team, they're crumbling.
Crumbled, yep.
Looking forward, so we dropped to 13-23 overall. Also, that's 36 games. That's a lot of games.
And
a shortened season, too. But we're still 8-7 in the Summit League. Omaha is, just kidding. We're ahead of Omaha because they're 6-9 in the Summit League. So this weekend we will host UND. They have double headers Saturday starting at noon and Sunday starting at 11. This is the last home series of the regular season. UND is 13-26 overall, so a pretty even record compared to ours, but they are 5-9 in the conference. What do you think?
Yeah, UND is 5-9 in the conference. I think we should be able to take them 100%. Perfect team to bounce back from. Who likes UND anyways?
Right, exactly.
Who likes perfect team to beat?
Something that I did note is that UND split against Omaha, so pretty even like how we were with Omaha. But they lost 3 of the 4 games against USD, where we won 3 of our 4 games. I'm hoping for a 4-game sweep. I know last week I said that never happens, and I agree that still doesn't ever happen.
Baseball got one now. Softball has to get one.
But that's what we need to going into the end of the season, because like I said, this is the last home series. Next weekend we'll play SDSU on the road, and then conference play begins.
And then moving on to golf, the girls had their Summer League Championship meet in Kansas. They placed 6 out of the 8 teams.
So day 1 they shot a .319. They were in 6th, 1 stroke behind ORU. Denver is 39th in the country, which I didn't realize how, it's still 39th, but out of all the universities that have a golf team, that's pretty good. Day 2, we shot a .341 in 7th place. Day 3, shot a .323, ended the tournament in 6th.
Yeah, so junior Taylor McCordle finished tied for 15th with 244. She finished the tournament with 4 birdies. And sophomore,
she shot an 81 in the final round. So obviously junior has a little bit more experience, so it's glad to see that she could at least end it on a high note.
Yep, sophomore Maddie Herzog shot 77 in the final round and finished tied for 19th. A lot of ties.
And Maddie led the Bison with 7 birdies in the tournament, and 3 of them were in the final round. So obviously she was trying, trying to get in towards that end.
Yep, senior Alexis Thomas finished tied, another tie, with 21st with a total of 247 points.
She also got a birdie in the final round, and as she was a senior, this was the final event of her career as an NDSU Bison. She finished with a stroke average of 78.44 for her career, which is the 6th lowest in program history. So hats off to Alexis Thomas. She had a great, obviously probably didn't want a 6th place team finish, but, tied for 21st and, 6th lowest in program history is a great note to her. Obviously, the team's going to miss that next year.
Yep, and then junior Lexi Galat finished in tied with 34th, another tie, I don't know what's going on, with freshman Catherine Monty, and finished 36th with 264.
So looking ahead to next season, we have junior Taylor, sophomore Maddie, so they'll be coming back. But now senior Alexis is graduating. How do you think the team's going to shape up? Do you think we're going to have a pretty similar season, better season?
Okay, looking back, we didn't have the best season.
Right.
When we look back, we didn't really, for the girls. Hopefully they can make some adjustments. Hopefully those freshmen learn from what they did wrong this year and really shake back next year. How do you feel they're going to do?
I think so too. I think I'm really excited for Taylor. Hopefully she can step up now that she's a senior. And there were some other girls that maybe didn't do the best in this tournament, but we had talked about in previous weeks that are freshmen and sophomores. Hopefully they can step up. Before we go into break, it is important to note that the men's tournament will start, I think, the next weekend.
Next week, May 1st, I think.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow.
Yep.
So we'll be able to recap for you guys next week.
So when we come back, we'll dive into baseball and track and field.
The Technology Learning and Media Center, located in the Quinton Burdick Building, room 150C, provides a variety of services to assist you with all of your technology-related coursework and personal learning goals. The TLMC offers one-on-one tutoring and assistance in topics ranging from basic computer skills to advanced topics such as design, Adobe products, and multimedia software. A resource library that includes books on the latest software releases, online resources including a lynda.com kiosk that provide free access to high-quality video tutorials on hundreds of topics. Free workshops on a variety of topics taught each semester by our student staff. Software and hardware for audio and video capture, conversion, and editing, plus personal assistance on your multimedia projects. Multiple scanners are available at the TLMC, including one large format scanner and a slide and film scanner. The Wacom tablet provides ultimate control in your favorite graphics and illustration software and can help you to create stunning digital artwork. Large format poster printing is also done at the TLMC. Our walk-in media resources include the Whisper Room sound booth for recording professional quality voiceovers and audio. The TLMC Media Studio is available by reservation and provides equipment and space for video recording, audio recording, studio photography, screen capture, and a green screen for special effects. If you have any questions on these services, be sure to visit the TLMC website, and while you're there you can check out a variety of learning and media resources, or just stop by the next time you're in the Quinton Burdick building and check out what we have to offer.
All right, welcome back to the last segment of Bison Overtime for today. Let's start off with baseball. So last weekend they played SDSU. We were kind of hoping that maybe they'd redeem our tough football loss. Didn't quite do that, but they didn't make us upset. First game they won 5-0. Second game they lost 3-2 in extra innings. SDSU got a walk-off win, so still pretty close game. Third game got mercy ruled 12-2, and then fourth game we won in extra innings 13-12.
Yeah, so on Friday, the 5-0, Jake Malik had 2 hits and 2 runs. Peter Brookshire had 2 hits and 1 run. Nick Emmanuel, which is a new name,
right,
had 1 hit and 1 run. The second game on Friday, they lost 2-3, as you said. Will Bush had 2 hits and 1 run, which is another new name. And another new name, Nathan Vermas, had 1 run.
So they're obviously either switching the batting order or doing more designated hitters.
Right. We'll see the new guys who can play, get us some more hits and not depend on, the Jake Malik and Bennett Hostetler.
And Peter.
And on Saturday, they lost, we mercy ruled 2-12. Charlie Hesse, another new name, 2 hits and 1 run, and Jack Simonson, 3 hits and 1 run. That game was terrible.
So, again, with softball, why are they so unpredictable? Unpredictable. It's like a roller coaster of like, oh, yay, we won. Almost won, got killed, and then won again.
But then again, like you said, they're going to play a lot of baseball. So maybe it's weighing on them,
That's
You got to
true.
think about every aspect of why they're losing. It may be not because the talent or they just can't get the team together. Maybe it's just they're exhausted.
Right. Senior pitcher Parker Harm has been named the Summit League Baseball Pitcher of the Week for the first time in his career. A couple weeks ago, our freshman pitcher, Cade Feeney, I think, got pitcher of the week. So obviously, good to see that we're having some strength in the
we have some good pitchers, and we see them rotate them a lot too. It's good that they're using all their pitchers, not just one, because we do have some good pitchers.
Earlier this week on Tuesday, the Bison played Valley State, just like an out-of-conference game. We won 5-3. Jake Malik hit his 7th home run of the season in the bottom of the 11th inning, so that was an extra innings too. So that was probably good as they head into this weekend, taking on Big 12 opponent Kansas Jayhawks. It's a 3-game series, 1 game tonight at 6, tomorrow at 1, and Sunday at 2. The Jayhawks are 23-19 overall, 3-11 in their conference, which just like when softball played Iowa State,
right.
Big 12 is really solid at
still
baseball.
Big 12.
So, but the other thing, I don't really understand this. Kansas played SDSU. They won 2 of the 3 games, and then they also played Omaha and won 3 of the 4 games. So obviously Kansas is playing some Summit League teams. Just real quick before we go into track and field, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't really have knowledge of Kansas like that, but I know they're really good, so I'm not sure what's going to happen.
I think that we're going to win 2 of the 3 games. We only have a couple.
2 of the 3 games?
We only have a couple. Just like with softball, we need this, so I'm going to be optimistic.
Okay.
All right, going into track and field now. Big weekend at the Drake Relays for both teams. What did you see from the men's side?
So Alex Talley, which is not a surprise, claimed the hammer throw title. He moved up to 15th in the NCAA this season and is number 2 in NDSU history.
Peyton, on the women's side, Peyton Frolic got the 2nd fastest outdoor 800-meter of her career to take 5th place. And then Bison junior Kelby Anderson, she hasn't competed since December. She competed in the 1500-meter and got a time of 4 minutes, 29 seconds. So pretty good for her. And then freshman Calissa Houston took off 3 seconds from her personal best in the 1500-meter.
We won the 4x4, and which is the 5th fastest 4x4 in school history, and it's the fastest we ever ran in 16 years.
Grace Zimmerman, Alyssa Lind, Nell Graham, and Katie Bai, that relay that I talked about, I think, 2 weeks ago, the sprint relay, they won that title. This is the 3rd ever Bison championship at the Drake Relays, and those 4 girls are now 7th all-time in NDSU. And then junior Keely Moten, I've talked about her a lot. She swept the top 3 places in the women's shot put, winning with a mark of 17.36 meters.
We won the distance medley, and we don't really talk about distance that much, but they're doing really good. As you can see, they're ranked 4th fastest in NDSU history now.
Women's side with the distance, junior Jenny Bargar-Petrash ran the 2nd fastest 15-meter in NDSU history. She got 4th at the event, and she is now among the top 30 in the NCAA this season.
Freshman Trent Davis is holding his own. He placed 5th in the 110 hurdles final. Moved up also to 5th in NDSU's all-time list.
The women's team won the 2021 Relays Cup, which is presented to the top-performing team in the relay events. The women also set 2 school records and won 2 more titles in the throwing events last Saturday.
And then we always talk about former Bison, national champion Peyton Arderdahl. I think his younger brother's Maxwell. Okay, a family just full of giants that can throw far. Placed 4th in the special invitational men's shot put competition for his outdoor season opener.
Maddie Nils and Jenny Bargar-Petrash were named the Summit League Track and Field Athletes of the Week. This is the 2nd time in 3 weeks that both girls won the award, so that's pretty cool there. Looking forward, the team is also going to Kansas, so maybe they'll see the baseball team. They're in Lawrence to compete in the Rock Chalk Classic. It's today and tomorrow. They will then have almost 2 weeks off before competing in the Summit League Championships. I think it's at USD, as it's in Vermillion, South Dakota. So how do you think they'll do this weekend in Kansas, and then are they going to be happy to have this 2-week break off?
Yeah, I know they'll be happy, but if we're talking about playing, we don't need the break. We're doing really well. They look like they're not really tired, because they haven't fell. Baseball falls, because they're losing.
Do you think it'll hurt them having this break, or do you think it'll allow their bodies to heal a little bit?
See, that's the thing. They've been doing good, so maybe the only thing is could hurt them to make them more rusty. I don't want them to take too big of a break because they usually don't have breaks, right? So they probably will go crazy. But I think they're going to do. I think the men is going to do really well in championship. I don't know about
I
you
think
girls.
the women's will too. I think at least maybe not the team title, but definitely some individual titles.
Okay.
Well, we'll be sure to recap that Rock Chalk Classic for you guys next week and preview their championship. That's all for Bison Overtime today. I'm Alex Deskey.
I'm Malik Mitchell.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to watch again next week, Friday at 12:30. Have a great weekend and roll herd.